Hello. Hi, I'm Shutirtho. After a really long time, I am again making a video, and I know it has been a really um, long since I posted my last video on YouTube, and after such a long gap, I'm again back with some fresh content that I feel is worthwhile to share with people who share a genuine interest in understanding multiple aspects of life, both professionally as well as personally. So, today's content would be majorly focused on my personal learnings over the last several years throughout my academic and industry corporate journey that I've had uh, across different universities, companies, and and I'm also going to talk about the new company where I've joined and my role there very briefly. So, touching on the first thing, right? So, talking about my own learnings and things. First of all, I would like to say that why I'm sharing these things, right? It's because I honestly feel that the journey that I've had over the past several years throughout academia and corporate can be immensely valuable to somebody who is maybe just starting off their career, or maybe somewhere in the middle of their career trying to look for answers to questions that they have, but they just don't know whom to reach out to. And I personally feel this a lot because I myself have been in that kind of a position earlier, and I know exactly how it feels. So it is like very uncomfortable feeling, to be honest, when you have a wide variety of questions in your mind regarding your professional path, regarding your personal journey, and you're just looking for answers, but you don't have anybody to talk to or people who can genuinely share those answers with you from their own individually lived experiences and not just book taught or book read knowledge. There is always a difference between these two things. So, without further ado, I'll get to it. So, as I had sort of, introduced myself earlier, also I'll give a brief intro about myself again. So, I'm basically an AI scientist who started off his journey as a statistician in Presidency College, Kolkata, where I did my statistics honors, the bachelor's, and then I went to the Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata, where I did my Master of Statistics, or as they call it, the MStat. After that, I basically thought of joining corporate, to be honest, and that was back in 2008 when this sort of juncture came in my professional sort of student journey, so to say, not even professional because professional hasn't even started yet back then. So that juncture came, and I basically thought that okay, I have studied enough, I have loved the subject statistics throughout my bachelor's and master's tenures, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, and by God's grace and my love for statistics and deep passion for it still continues even after 20 years from my journey into statistics learning when it first started in Presidency College back in 2004. So I completed my master's, and after that, I wanted to take up a job. But that very year, that whole 2008 financial crisis came in the US, and so markets stumbled, shares of companies started dripping down. Companies, large MNCs who were regularly coming to the Indian Statistical Institute campus for placements, they sort of imposed certain restrictions on uh, maybe job offer levels, the salary benchmarks, the number of interviews that you can go for, or number of companies where whose placements you can sit on, uh, which were not there earlier. So it was something very different a time, and I was giving interviews, of course, for multiple companies, and somehow they were not working out. So in the end, I got an offer from a company named ICICI Prudential. So it's basically a collaboration between ICICI Bank and the Prudential company, which is I think it's an European company who has this insurance thing. So I got, and at that time I still remember it was an offer of 6 lakhs per annum, and that too in Mumbai. And although back in that time, that amount was also quite substantial. It was not like extraordinarily high, like uh, the offers that typically other big companies, like let's say top investment banks like Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, they used to offer, or and also slightly below what McKinsey used to offer back then, because they used to come a lot for campus placements in our Indian Statistical Institute campus. So it was slightly below that, but it was still fine. So, and I, of course, wanted a better offer, and that offer was not, I would say, to the best of my expectations. And of course, as you know, right? I mean, back that time we are conditioned in a plethora of ways. So we have certain very hard set, uh, emotional and psychological things that we have in set in our mind, that okay, we want things in this way only, we have to get to this college, we have to get to this company, because that's what we have seen our seniors do. So that automatically creates an imprint in our minds that okay, we also have to do that. And there is of course this constant peer pressure from the society, from everybody around you, that it has to happen. There is no other way, right? So anyway, but parallelly at the same time, I had also applied for my PhD in multiple universities in the US. And to be honest, I never prepared for either GRE examination or the TOEFL examination, or didn't even bother to have great grades in my tenure in Indian Statistical Institute, because it was pretty clear to me that I don't want to go for higher education anymore. I just want to take up a job. It was very clearly set in my mind right from the time I joined ISI Kolkata, right? So for my MStat. But anyway, destiny had other plans for me, and that just played out when the time came. So that financial crisis came, and the offer was not matching my expectation. And of course, since I had not prepared well for my PhDs in foreign universities, top US schools, at like top places like maybe Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, um, Duke, then many others as well, right? So uh, Yale, and the top names in the list of the U.S. universities, right? So they were, of course, out of the questions. I couldn't get into any of them because where my grades in ISI were not that great. So yeah. Anyway, so I ended up, getting an offer from an university named University of Louisville. I had never heard of this university earlier, and I did not know that whether it's a good university or not. In my mind, it was always like it has to be either Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, Yale, the Ivy Leagues, or maybe if not the Ivy Leagues, then maybe the next tier colleges after that. And of course, because I didn't prepare for it, as I was just saying, I didn't get into any of them. So the offer that I got was from University of Louisville in Kentucky for a PhD in biostatistics, and the offer was not like with some stipend or research assistantship. It was basically a full fellowship. So it's quite funny actually. So when I realized that okay, here is the University of Louisville giving me a full university fellowship of $20,000 at that time per year, and I don't have to like take any classes, grade any exam papers or anything. It's just like free money, and I just have to do their courses and do my PhD. That's it. And the person who basically was the sort of the main acting sort of head of that department at that time. He coincidentally was basically a batchmate of my master's dissertation professor in Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata. And so my advisor said that, okay, I know him, he was my batchmate in ISI Kolkata, and you can go for a PhD under him, and I think that'll really be great for you. But of course, in my mind, it was like this, that okay, I didn't get into the good schools that I dreamed, that the other people in my class went to, because of course they had prepared for it and they had good great grades. So, but I did not have. So, so was sort of very suspicious about what to do here. So on one hand, I had this job offer from Mumbai. On the other hand, I had this PhD offer from the University of Louisville in Kentucky with a full 2 years university full fellowship, right? So, and it's quite funny. And at that time, and when I introspect and think about it, I just think that, okay, the main decision that finally took was based on certain factors. I don't know whether what I would have done at this time and age if the same situation would have presented in front of me today. But anyway, at that time, it was simply like a choice between a 6 lakhs INR per annum offer in Mumbai in ICICI Prudential versus 20,000 US dollars per year fully paid university fellowship with a PhD opportunity at the University of Louisville in Kentucky. And to me, it was like at that time, it was just like, okay, if I choose the Mumbai option, the job option in India, in Mumbai, I get 6 lakhs per annum. And of course, after the tax deduction and everything, I probably will get a very small amount in my hand per month. And of course, I won't also have the PhD degree. And here is on the other hand, I would have to move to a whole another country. I've never lived outside my home in Kolkata, India, and here was the option of moving to a whole another country in US, and of course, because I didn't prepare for mentally or you know uh, like in terms of the application and all for my PhDs, it was very trickier decision for me because uh, the US option was definitely better in terms of the monetary compensation, in terms of the fellowship, and also the opportunity for a PhD and to earn a PhD degree. Although it was not an university of my choice at that time, but I chose that because just by thinking that okay, here I'll get a full fellowship. I mean, and $20,000 as an university fellowship at that time was a pretty big deal, to be honest, where you don't have to check exam papers, take any classes or anything. And so here is I have $20,000 and also opportunity for a PhD. I chose that. I went to US for my PhD. I started uh, learning about that world, like, because I had not prepared for it. So I had absolutely no idea about how exactly a PhD works. So, because I absolutely had no ambition for it, it was just a decision that I took when I was presented with two different choices. And that decision, as I said, was purely based on this greed for a degree and just the monetary part of it. And of course, the third part was the opportunity to visit US, which anyway I would say was not a deal breaker for me. It never was. So anyway, I went to US. I started working on my courses in the coursework, and parallelly also started working on some research projects. And I had one thing very clear in my mind, that I don't want to spend a lot of time on my PhD. I want to get it done as soon as possible, and then go for a postdoc to a great university. And this is quite interesting because I feel since I didn't get admission to a good school during my PhD, I always had this subconscious dream of getting into a good school someday. And the next best option was to do a postdoc um, in a good school. I mean, I shouldn't say good school, I should say a school that I thought is amazing. So, so yeah, I mean, I started doing my PhD and then finished it off by the grace of God, and of course, through the guidance of my PhD advisors in about 3.5 years. And luckily, God listened to me, and I got an offer for my postdoctoral um, fellowship uh, from the Harvard University. And here was my dream coming true. And I thought, okay, this is something that I had wanted earlier. It didn't happen during my PhD, but okay, here we are now. That okay, I have this offer from Harvard for a postdoc. So I finished my PhD, defended my thesis, went to Harvard for my postdoc, and that was in the intersection of statistical genomics, epigenomics, biostatistics, that domain, and but I could work under like you know a really renowned scientist in that field. By the way, my PhD advisors, they're also very prominent figures in the field of genomics and bioinformatics, biostatistics, and my postdoc advisor also was. So I had gotten uh, you know this history of getting some great teachers from whom I could learn so much throughout my life, and I believe that that has been one critical thing that has shaped me, that has helped me evolve into the person that I am today. And and of course, I bestow my earnest gratitude to all of them, and and I constantly do that because I feel without that I wouldn't even have come here. Of course, my parents' blessings and all my well-wishers' blessings are there. God is there, but without the learnings from those teachers, I wouldn't have been here where I am now. So, okay. So now, after finishing off PhD, I went for my postdoc, and after my postdoc was finished, I think I did about 2 years of my postdoc at Harvard, and then didn't quite like US, to be honest. I honestly had never liked US. It was something that was very personal, in the sense that I there were many people who say that okay, you go now, you will like it, just spend some time. I said that I don't think I'm going to like it, but anyway, um, US also has helped me evolve in multiple ways, for which also I'm really grateful. And but anyway, I never could see myself sort of settle there or live with a family there forever, something like that, which many other batchmates of mine had already dreamt of, and just they were just fulfilling their dream when they had moved to US. So for me it was never the case. So naturally I decided to come back to India, and that's when I flew back from US after having spent almost 6 years there through my PhD and postdoc. I came back to India, and then after coming back, another fresh adventure started. I'll talk about that adventure in my next video, but so far I hope this journey was I could at least share my own learnings through this journey with my audience, and hopefully uh, you guys would find something worthwhile in this content. With that, I will pause it here, and we'll again be back with the next video where I'll talk about my professional journey after moving back to India. And till then, thank you. Bye.